walking towards the set, and here comes Shannon, and there goes Elizabeth, and there goes Holly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm fucking stoned. I'm like,
What's really exciting about this episode is that it's Dale's/Leo's first episode, and he's all over it, by the way.
Literally all over it.
You're like this entire episode.
This is The House of Halliwell, episode 7, The Fourth Sister. It is,
Fourth,
it
fifth,
aired.
sixth, seventh.
No, 7th.
I've lost count.
4th. It aired on November 18th, 1998, directed by Gil Adler. And this is, as we just kind of touched on, this is Brian's first official full episode. And boy, bud, we have questions and notes.
I have notes.
You have notes on yourself?
I don't know how you guys brought me back. Honestly.
Really?
Well,
it was a discussion between all of us, and we thought about it for a while. And we're like, God, he's really likable, and he looks damn good in those Levi's. And yeah.
Best clothes in the land.
Oh my God, that's right. There was some real... Well, okay, let's go back. Holly, you had a really great question. So first and foremost, one of the things that I guess I didn't know either was, so you originally auditioned for Andy?
Yeah. I guess before the show even really got going. Which, for me at that era, I mean, look how I look. There was no way I could have played a detective at that age. I could finally start.
You did look kind of young.
Little bit. And TW was perfect for it. So when I did go back for Leo, it was like, oh, great. What's this guy? And, it was like, something much more attainable. I was actually doing construction at the time. So,
like in real life?
In real life.
Oh, wow.
The day I got the job, I was underneath the house retrofitting and went over to Spelling and, walked in and did it. And I don't know if I should tell that story, but it was...
no, 100%. That was the
so
follow-up.
the audition,
what was the audition process like?
Went in, came back. 2 hours later, they're like, oh, come back. So I had to call back to work and be like, I can't go back. I got called back. And so I called my guy at the job site, Dave, and he's like, what? And I was like, I know. I was so bummed because, I was making $100 that day. And what was I going to tell my wife? So you better go book this job. And I knew I was going in for Aaron, who I had met, way back, 90210, Melrose, everything. And so I figured, all right, you're going into that big room, the 15 people on one huge couch, and here we go. I kind of planned how I was going to do it, and I was going to walk in and hello, hello, hello. When they introduced Mr. Spelling, I was going to say, hello, Mr. Spelling. It's great to see you again. Hopefully
you had rehearsed that. You had planned that.
Yeah. Hopefully that prompts him to be like, oh, hey, Brian. So I did this, and he looks down at my resume and picture, and he goes, oh, hi, Brian. Nice to meet you. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, nice to meet me? Nice to meet me? You don't remember the auditions I've given you? And I instantly became
the best years of my life.
Pissed off. I pissed off at my life. I wasn't making $100 today where I was at. I was doing construction. I had a baby, a kid, a thing, a career that's not happening. And they're like, are you ready? I go, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. No questions. I go, no, I don't have any questions. And I read it like angry, like blah, 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 blah. Okay, thanks. And they go, okay, great. I go, anything else? "Oh, okay, thanks. And I just walked out.
See, and that's so not like Leo, but I'll tell you what, it works because the auditions that I cared about, and don't take this the wrong way, people, most of the jobs I've done, I really cared about, but the auditions that I didn't care about are the ones that I did really well in, and like they offered me the job. The ones that I really wanted, like desperately and earnestly, like I can do this job well, they were like, thank you for coming. Yeah. Thank you, next.
It's wild how often that happens. It's like almost verbatim every single time. When you don't care about it, there's something that's like completely freeing and you just let it go and you're like, whatever. And then something happens, it clicks. Like, oh God, or maybe like they don't want it.
The
What's
weirdest
wrong?
part is I did a take. I had auditioned. This was my third time auditioning that day. Same
For
cast
him.
director in the room. No.
Okay.
You finally, at the end of the day, you get to spell
You
it.
make it to the boss.
Yeah.
Got it.
And, I had done this read like, oh, hi, I'm nice and sweet, nice and sweet. And that got me to the next one. Hi, I'm nice and sweet. And then I get in there and go, "Wah!" And it's like, when, so that's kind of the mystery for me that, I did a take that was so different and not, maybe that's it, not what they were looking for, didn't give up rat's ass. And
you showed your
Wow.
range.
it's,
How about that?
yeah.
You showed your range.
So when you got the call, was it the same day? Like
Same day,
walk
but
us
like a
through.
half hour. I walked out.
So you're
to my
out there and you're
car
pissed. What did you do?
on the way home?
Driving angry?
Well, I started to
Stuck in
drive angry and called my wife at the time and was like, "Look, I had this thing and I don't know." And so you didn't finish work today? No, I did. I didn't. Then I, boom, got a page, pulled over. At that time, I had to pull over and use a payphone.
Yep.
And yeah, it just happened like that. So it was nice to be able to call her back and
be like, by the way,
I'm coming home with a job.
No way.
Yeah.
And was this, you had discussed prior that you weren't a series regular at this point.
Guest
But
star.
had you been?
No, this was just a guest, possible recurring. So I think my first contract was for 2 or 3 episodes. And then they later in the season or a few episodes down, they offered me another 6 or 7. I think I did 10 the first season. I'm not sure. So it was like 3 and then brought me back.
Give or take a few.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on set, and you have 2 of arguably the most beautiful women on television fighting over your attention. What was that like?
Well, yeah.
Immediately thrown into like the lion's den with them.
It's interesting because I knew Holly and Alyssa at the time, and
you had known them already.
I mean, we had met. We had all met because friends of friends.
True. Mutual friends.
It was interesting as an actor to play that with people that are obviously off limits in that way off the set. Then to bring that kind of flirtatiousness onto set, it was. I was nervous. I mean, I'm just nervous to work with the girls anyway and be there. And first time on a primetime show like that, and
You said you were nervous today just to talk about it.
I am. Why? Because I'm on the spot, and Danielle Harris has like this resume. It's like, how do you go through all that? And
you're doing great.
Like, man.
Hey, so quick question, BK.
Sweetie.
What do you remember about your first few days on set after the nerves kind of subsided? Like these scenes where you're interacting now with every single one of them, just again thrown right into the deep end.
Well, I remember. So I had I had a garage, lived in Van Nuys, and I'd go out to my garage, and it's where I'd run.
That's the valley, everyone.
I'd run lines and had this little putting machine and whatever, and I'd sit out there and have a beer and just literally run lines all night, a million different ways. And I kind of knew that being a possible recurring, that it was a lot of it was up to me and my chemistry, and so I would just rehearse it a million ways. Like if I feed the girls the line this way, is it going to make them? It'll make them react a certain way. So I kind of, it goes against everything I do of just listening and reacting. And I felt like if I could direct the performance, the scene to where I don't leave them a response other than such and such, then, I could kind of help them like me on the show in a way.
Sure.
That was kind of my plan. I'd stay up till 2, 3 in the morning doing it, get up, get some coffee, go to work, and just try to be in it. But I remember one of my first, it must have been the first or second episode. I had gotten to set and I was hanging out, and, I went like 3 hours early to go to the set. And so I got to the set and it was like, 9 a.m. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. And they're like, look, we've pushed you to the end of the day. And it was Les Sheldon at the time. He's like, look, you're done. Come back at,
See ya.
what you want. We're not going to need you till after lunch, which is like,
Yeah.
1 o'clock. And then he's like, end of the day, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. I was like, oh, well, maybe I could pop over to the golf course real quick, right? So I do, and I'm hanging out. And this is awful to say, and don't ever do this at home, kids, but I was kind of nervous, whatever. And I wasn't a big pot smoker at the time, but I did here and there. And I was like, okay, maybe I have time to, take a little hit. So
your face is
I
incredible
do,
right
and this
now.
is like at 10 in the morning, right? And I take one hit, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I don't work stoned, I don't work dry, never. And I don't know why I'm like, okay, it's a good idea to do this. So I'm like, well, because it has time to wear off, right? And so it goes, and I finally get brought onto the set, and it's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I sit in my chair.
Yeah,
going,
I was going to say it's probably going to be 9 o'clock.
It was late.
After
and
lunch, those days was like 9 o'clock at night.
So I'm thinking, I'm fine, right? I'm totally normal. I've been talking to people. Everything's great. I'm not nervous. I'm not stoned. And then they brought me onto the set, and you come from the outside and you get into the indoors of a set, and it's all of a sudden it's dark except for where the set and the lights are. And it's kind of like, there it is, right? There's the amphitheater of it. And I remember my heart just start pumping out my chest and walking towards the set. And here comes Shannon, and there goes Alyssa, and there goes Holly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm fucking stoned. I'm like, and I stopped right there, and I said, okay, no, you're not. Relax. And I'm not a religious person, but I have spoken to the higher powers as it be. And I took a moment there, and I said, Brian, you're really trying to screw life up, aren't you? And I said, if they bring me back, I will never, ever, ever.
I will never smoke pot again.
Never smoke pot again.
And
never,
they brought me back.
Hey, and you've been pot free ever since.
Well, I'm as I act, yes.
As you act, yes. Quick question: do you remember what scene that was specifically? So if we were watching this episode,
now I want to guess. Now I want to go rewatch it and guess which scene.
What was it?
I think it was just one where I'm at the.
There's one scene where you look a little wild-eyed.
Maybe. I think it's at the.
You're in the hallway.
The fireplace. And I literally, at the end of the day, we wound up just doing one line, and I turn around, and they're like, Leah, and that's it.
That's your ass day.
Maybe they knew I was stoned, and they're like, get it out.
That's your ass shot.
Was the ass shot?
Yeah.
It might have been.
Oh, dude, that's okay.
Yeah.
You killed that ass shot. Who said finest glutes in the city?
In all the land.
In all the land.
I think Holly said the city, and
Alyssa said all the land. In all the land.
All the land.
Wow.
Oh my God. I think that is that scene. You want to know why?
Oh no.
You want to know why? And I was going to say this before, but because you tripped over the fireplace screen.
Oh, yeah.
And that was not scripted.
Are you sure? I saw that today, and I'm like, man, I'm funny. I'm a real Jack Tripper.
We were funny because it happened by accident. And I was like, oh, be careful. And I was like, antique. Grams. Or she said antique. I said grams.
Yeah.
Wow.
One way or the other. But literally, that was all ad-libbed. Because you tripped over the screen because you were stoned.
I was not.
There's no way. By the way, there's probably
you were like I want to pull it up.
3% chance that you were still high if you hit it once at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And this is like 9 p.m.
The panic.
You were in your head.
Panic.
It's panic. That's what that was.
I mean, it was panic enough coming onto the set and the girls, and I'd already popped in the one, and that was not much. But now we're getting into the meat of Leo's story.
Formerly
courting the girls, as that whole thing.
Yeah, and by the way, you just like moved in for the whole episode. Like you were just there. Like first of all, you're putting like flyers up. Like that's not a handyman thing. You're putting flyers up for our lost cat. Like you've just literally moved in. And at one point you're like in the kitchen looking out the window and you
Shannon's
pull
home.
apart the
Prue's home.
Yeah. You're like, Prue's home.
But
and I was
also,
like,
dude, why are you the slowest handyman in the history of the world?
There's a
when did he like become
I mean,
the
I get
roommate?
it. You're playing the long game for sure.
Right.
like had to
Jeez.
resand it.
Oh
and
yeah, I
sand it
gotta
again.
stain this.
Stain this.
That's gonna take.
And then you
weeks.
hand her the stain samples. There was a lot of stain samples. I was like, God, what was that? 75 samples?
There's a lot.
It was a lot of samples.
It was more than a few.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that was Leo's game.
So, hey, before we get back into Leo, did anyone, like personally, from like a Brian to a Holly or Shannon or Alyssa, yes, you said you knew them, or even Dorian and TW a little bit, was anyone, like, did they welcome you with open arms? Did you feel like you were part of the group, or did you kind
The
of feel
girls
like you were on
definitely
the outside?
welcomed me in with open arms. They're like, hey, they knew me as
Right.
you know, but once I got to the set, and this is what I realized early is we're in a professional atmosphere. And it's like, all right, great, Brian, glad you're here. Let's go to fucking work. And, that was kind of Shannon driving that, this.
No time
Totally
for
white.
small
We're not
talk.
messing around
There
here,
was
you know.
zero time
You
for
could
small
feel
talk.
the energy of them wanting to make something great, and it's not
Cool.
playtime.
Got
Well,
it.
we had sort of got to the point where we were finding our footing. We'd finally found a story point where we were like, our writers were super good at getting these real life messages that Aaron always wanted sort of shot in to the episodes, but they're also only 42 minutes long. So there's so much to get in and so much character development. You've got to have had a bad guy and then the good guy's got to win. And in between, you have to have all these people sort of revealing themselves as characters. And that's a lot to do in 42 minutes. So, in the first opening scene, we have this teenager who has a mom who's in rehab and that it's not something to be ashamed of. And you have that all within the first couple minutes of the episode.
By the way, I wrote something about that as well. I like that you picked that up. It was teen angst, but it was incredibly insightful in regards to her take on addiction. Because
we
I thought was really
have sort of real life issues that translated to people in a human way. Because once you put the bad contacts in the eyes, we've basically suspension of disbelief is kind of flying out the window.
right.
So, and then, we have the bad guy who looks like this dreamy fairy apparition in the mirror. And you're just like, well, that's hard to look at too. So she was a lovely actress. Very
Lovely
beautiful.
actress.
Beautiful.
But it's just the special effects were super they just bump you, smack you right in the face and go, huh. Maybe it's just in hindsight, but maybe at the time it was more revolutionary.
I thought that the effects weren't as bad.
Yeah, they are. No.
We're coming off of, remember everyone, we're coming off of just watching A Wedding from Hell.
Ugh.
So anything is better than that. I'm looking at these effects. I'm like, well, that didn't bum me.
Well, now what's equally bumping me is that the dang what Hecate is in the opening credits of the show forever now.
No.
When she turns her head around when she's on top of the guy, who decided that was the great thing to put in the credits? And see, this is why they made me a producer later in life, because I was just already asking
you were there.
terrible questions.
The only thing that really bumped me on the episode was Aunt Jackie and her flailing down the stairs bit from.
It was a great fall, though. The stunt
It was a
person.
great
I mean, the
fall.
stunt work was
That's
fantastic.
a girl going down the stairs in a skirt.
I
thought it was
understand.
pretty
and
badass.
a wig.
I was
And
like,
a
"Oh."
wig.
I thought it was a slight overreaction to her dress catching on fire.
Well, yeah.
Not
look.
at all. When you catch on fire, it's not really your finest moment of decision making.
That's true, but she somehow went out the door into the hall and then flailed down
And
the
went,
stairs.
whoops.
Well, if you're backing up and then lose your footing, and then it just all goes downhill from there.
Fine.
Right.
You're right.
Pun
I'm wrong.
intended.
Great fall,
Unintended.
Aunt Jackie. Great fall.
We do need to talk about Aunt Jackie.
We do need.
Because,
She's letting
go ahead.
stranger
Yes.
danger, Aunt Jackie. Prue just shows up and you start telling her everything, spilling all
wait,
the tea, and then
before
say,
that.
"Hey, go to my house. Go to my
Before
house.
that.
It's fine."
Way before that.
Yeah.
So we would be remiss if not mentioning Rebecca. Rebecca Balding was one of our producers' wives who just passed away recently. And not only was Rebecca a lovely lady, and they were the life of the party at any rap party, because all they did was dance the night away, her and James. Conway. But she also somehow morphed from Aunt Jackie into another character on the show later in the series,
I like
where she
it.
became Elise. So Aunt Jackie had a second life for sure,
Yeah.
and lived on. But we do want to say she was a lovely woman, and our condolences go out to Jim and the kids.
That's right. Thank you.
Sending you a lot of love, Jim. You know, another show did that. Milch did that on Deadwood. There was a character, an actor. I forgot the actor's name, but the actor ended up dying in the episode. And then the season premiere the next year, he brought the actor back, but in a completely different character.
Hey,
And
Well, that's interesting. It brings me to our guest star, main guest star. That's not Leo from the show, Danielle Harris. Early in her career, she's played in 4 different Halloween movies and 2 different characters, which is, again interesting. But kudos to.
I'm into that.
Yeah,
If you're in a play, if you're part of a company,
right?
you're constantly changing roles, and it's just you're part of a theater troupe. It's like, oh, tonight I'm Macbeth, and tomorrow night I'm Lady Macbeth. It's just how we
True.
roll.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
maybe
allowed.
not. Maybe Macbeth wasn't the best. Maybe one night I'm Macbeth, and the next I'm Macduff. Shakespeare fans? Anyone? No.
Anyone?
Going once,
Bueller.
going twice.
Bueller.
Okay. Let's just move on. Do we talk
overall,
about
did you guys
double-
like the episode?
I
did.
feel like it's a fledgling episode. It's a fledgling,
What do you mean by
Charmed
that?
episode. It's like we're sort of getting it, but we're not quite there yet. And I know in these days, I know exactly what happened to your call time, Brian, because literally we were just with the effects. And and to Danielle's credit and the rest of us, it's super hard to act out things that you can't see and you can't imagine because they don't even know what the special effect is going to look like until it's basically finished in those days. So a director can tell you to imagine what your hands are doing when you hold it up, but it's just an added element to being believable that's super hard to do.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle. And credit to anybody who was fully committed to sell it because it's hard.
Now at the end of the episode, Daniel's, the 4th sister, and she, life gets back together, and she says she's going to keep her promise forever. Don't worry, Phoebe. She promised to Phoebe to keep the secret. It left me with a moment there. Was there thought of bringing her back and having her come in and out at all? They kind of left that open with that line there.
Possibly. I don't know, but you'd have to ask her. I have a
Yeah,
feeling.
you have to ask her for sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling that she got too busy.
Yeah.
Definitely for sure.
Was there before we get to her? Was there just while we're kind of on the just touching different pieces of the episode? Was there anything else that either jumped at you, Brian? Did you have any idea where Leo's story was going to go? Do we need to talk about?
Well, it definitely wasn't going to go to Mom Piper. That was so rude, Mom. Just think of her as your mom. I know I do. So wrong.
But that's what Leo was looking for. They didn't know.
Oh, the mother
You guys
figure.
were you and Alyssa were playing real dirty. That whole milk thing where she's so aggressive,
First
wiping
of
your
all,
milk stash.
That was aggressive.
That was
Yeah,
did you see all shades of red in that moment?
Apparently, but
Well, no, Holly. Let's get back to this. I want
Piper
you to
was really
close your eyes and
underestimated in
remember
this.
being there in the moment.
Piper was really underestimated in this episode, and I got offended for her.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you.
I was offended. I was like,
I
that
was
is
offended.
blatant.
There's literally the other Callie person says don't worry about Piper, she won't try to stop you, and I was like, rude.
I know.
So very
they pegged you a
rude.
certain way, girl.
Yeah, but I'm the one that was the night watchman that stopped the bad guy from killing the good guy. So
Oh, the bathroom. Yeah, the bathroom moment in the
thank
hall.
you very much.
I kind of
Rude.
I had a note on Andy. I've been riding Andy pretty hard and his stalkery
You have.
clinginess.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your clinginess is caught up to you, man.
No.
Prue's an independent lady.
Stalker Andy is pissed off.
Yeah,
in this
he's pissed,
episode.
but you know
were
what?
you
He deserve-
surprised when he said at the end to Prue, "I still love you"?
That was I
Well,
was more
'cause they
surprised that he
dated
through his
forever.
But
sport jacket.
they're
into a bush.
dating. Had he even gotten to that point in their relationship? He's like,
Yeah,
Well, you maybe
dated
the previous time. No, it was
They
the previous
dated
time.
before.
He was inferring. Yeah. Like they probably
Yeah.
said it before. Also,
It
when
was
did you
a
stop
little-
becoming a chef? Like one moment you're a chef, and then next you're like, oh, I used to be the chef here, but now I just run this place.
So I think we got a note from Spelling that the chef outfit wasn't as cute as the hostess outfit, and that's how that decision was made.
So what did you end up doing with that red sash?
Burned it.
Didn't it come home and show up in the kitchen at home?
Burned it.
Yeah, you're still wearing that when you're cooking, aren't you?
Nope,
When it's just
never.
hyper and
When you're like role playing.
When I go to cooking school in France,
Oh.
it'll
Yeah.
come with me.
Okay.
I enjoyed the storyline, and maybe
for
I'll
nostalgic reasons.
Of course you enjoyed it.
No,
They're fighting over you.
Aviva and that whole thing that she went through, and
Okay.
where she was in her life, and
Right.
what she was willing to do to find happiness, and
Find a family.
that she had to do this to even, she wanted to be friends with the charmed ones, but this was the only way she was going to get that. And,
Evil.
what she kind of had to go through. And she did feel like she was taken advantage of, but yet misunderstood. And I like, where that came out. And that's why at the end, I thought, there was a potential that, and we'll ask Danielle when she gets in here, but they'd bring her back. Let's welcome the fourth sister of Aviva from this episode, Danielle Harris.
There she is.
Hi.
Hello,
Hey, what's happening?
Hello.
guys. How you doing?
How are you?
We're
Good.
trudging along. We're new at this podcast thing. So,
Listen, we've been doing it for over a year, and I still can't figure it out sometimes. So,
we have technical difficulties a lot and sometimes just spiritual ones.
oh shit.
We're fine.
You guys do a great job on there. The one you sent me. And
Oh, thank
listen to a
you.
couple more. The energy and everything that you bring on there is.
Oh my God, we have no
Wait,
what
plan.
you
okay.
talk about. Oh my!
I know.
You have to tell
God.
people what it is.
I know.
Pretty awesome.
BK,
Yeah,
you have to
BK got
tell
really
people what it
excited about
is.
your podcast.
It's no holds bar.
BK's never listened to a podcast before. Now he's like deep dive into yours.
Right.
Of course.
It's so
Of
naughty.
course, because we don't want to talk about charms. So we're like, Danielle, tell me about your podcast.
It's
Wait.
R rated.
Is it really? It's called Talk Scary to Me, right?
Talk scary to me. Yes, it's
and it's
basically
you and Scout.
yeah. So it's Scout and I just shooting the shit, and because I'm like a decade older than her, we've got like both perspectives, and we have
Right.
fans write in quite like sex and love questions because there's only so
Nice.
much horror that you can talk about.
Right.
So we do sex and love questions, and then we do, which you'd be surprised when people want to know about stuff from us.
Oh boy.
Like in
That's
our
pretty
little
cool.
horror community, maybe there's not like access to information. So we're
Uh-huh.
teaching a lot of men and some women about things that maybe they should already know. And then we do our true crime stuff, and Scout's all about TikTok, so she does her 911 calls and about people killing their kids, and it's just a little bit of everything.
Wow. What's the wildest question you've ever fielded on the show?
Ooh, people want to know if there's role play in our relationships with like Michael Myers masks and stuff like that. I mean, that's like we get that all the time. There's a lot of feet questions. It's a lot of a lot of
Wait, I looked it up briefly, and I got stuck on one concept that was the lost condom, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh no. Oh, no,
yeah.
no, no.
Oh, that was early on too. How do you get out of lot? How do you? Yeah,
We've
have you
all
ever
been
has
there,
someone ever?
right?
Have you, Holly, ever had anyone lose a condom inside of you?
No.
Oh.
What do you mean we've all been there, Drew?
That has happened once or twice.
The question is,
knew?
whose responsibility is it to get it out?
It's the dude.
Oh, the guys.
Yeah.
Like if the girl's okay with it and the guy go get it.
Well, you
I'm
put it in
really-
there. You might as well get it out.
Yeah, right? Like I'll go get it. It's fine.
It's your fault.
It's my fault. Hey,
Yeah.
but again, at least I'm wearing one. Like there can be let's not criticize. Was wearing one.
Or actually, someone told me, told us a funny story about how they missed the mark and they gave conjunctivitis to their girlfriend.
Oof.
And she got him in the eye. He got her in the eye.
That's not okay.
Yeah,
That's
and then
flag on the play.
Scout said
Flag on the
had it
play,
happen
man.
to her. Scout said it happened to her, I guess, but did not get conjunctivitis. So, what's your?
And if
aim,
anybody
everybody?
doesn't know, Scout, she was actually on Charm too.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, so she's gonna come up hopefully in her episode too.
Yeah. She was a baby. She
yeah.
was young, wasn't
She
she?
was teeny tiny. Yeah. And we ran into each other at a convention. She came up to my table and she was like, I just want you to know it was such a great experience for me. And I remember you guys being really kind. And I was
Oh,
like, you were a baby.
she was a
Yeah.
baby.
She was a baby.
So a funny story. I don't know if you know this, but I was in the middle of shooting a feature at the time that I did your episode, and I was working nights. So
goodness.
the entire shoot, I went from days on Charmed directly to night shoots on a movie I did with Corin Nemec and David Faustino,
funny.
actually.
Wow.
So I didn't sleep for like a week, and I will never, ever, ever do that ever.
Do that again.
Do you remember what were you
mean-
aware of Charmed when you got it? Like,
I mean, that's why I went and auditioned for it. It was like,
Okay.
was this the fourth or fifth? It was the first season, fourth or fifth episode, maybe. I don't know. I know it was in the very beginning, and it had kind
It
of
ended up being 7, but
Okay.
it's because we rearranged things. So you're probably right that it was 4 or 5. But
or
yeah,
maybe they had
shuffled-
aired 4 of them already. So I knew
Right.
that it was
You were
such
aware
a
of the show.
giant hit, and that's why I was like, well, I'm willing to still do it and not sleep for a week because it was such an important show at the time. And but here's the funny thing. So I went and auditioned, got the job, and then I went to set to do like a hair and makeup test, and they wanted to dye my hair bright red.
Ooh.
And I was like, I'm in the middle of shooting a movie. I can't. And then they were going to recast me. And they were
that's
like, well,
ridiculous.
I know. And they were like, well, you guys look too much alike, all of you.
Which I thought was
Oh,
intentional.
see.
I thought
Well,
that
it's
was
called the fourth sister.
sister.
Yeah.
like
okay. So, but that's a spelling thing too.
Oh.
And so he really didn't want anybody to have, and your hair was really similar. And that was like a rule. Nobody has the same hair because he thinks that it like makes an individual more identifiable it was a spelling thing, not a you thing.
So
and also if it was
interesting.
red, that was not goth at the time. That would have been more
No.
punk rock. So that
Right.
would be wrong.
That's why they like slicked it back and kind of tried to do
Yeah.
things to make it look different than you guys.
Right.
But I was like, oh my God, great. Here we go. Now, like what you guys, there was so many like blondes and redheads and like other
Yeah.
people that were there, and you hired someone that looked just like you guys, and then you wanted to change it. So it was crazy.
That's it.
I really
Huge
thought
mix-up.
that was intentional. Like when I'm watching you guys kind
It
of run
should
around
have
together, I'm
been.
like, oh, this could be the fourth sister.
Yeah.
Was there, and this is actually came up before you came on, we were talking about, was there ever an intention, like had they discussed with you a potential of bringing you back?
No,
Because you were, no,
She was too busy. I told you.
very busy.
Did you think about
nobody
it
said anything.
at the end of the script, though, when you're like, I'll keep my promise, and that it kind of left it open for you to come back? Did you see that?
You know
at all?
what? It never crossed my mind.
Mm.
Remember getting flowers actually because I had to wear giant contacts when I become Aviva.
Aren't those awful?
They're awful. Yeah, I didn't know, and mix that with not sleeping for a week, and I was just crazy. So I got flowers from spelling, essentially saying, thanks so much for being a trooper and you did a great job, blah blah blah. So that was really nice. I'd never experienced that before. It's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the episode in a while, but I had a lot to do as a guest star. Like they gave me a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. So
You did.
I'm glad I was younger at the time, and
Right.
was
No,
able
you
to
were
pull it off.
fantastic. I really, it struck me how, yes, you're troubled character and angry and angst and all this, but, towards the middle of the episode, you really saw the hurt and the pain your character was going through. And you kind of brought that out, and yeah, you had all these motives, but I feel like the range you showed in there was, and I don't know if that was a script or just you being you and what you added to it, but
Oh, shit,
there was
Brian,
a
I don't remember.
vulnerability to your character that, I'm not the tough girl
I was so
anymore.
tired. I don't remember what was going on.
That was
So
great.
the tired just gave you that glazed, angry,
Yeah.
painful look on your face.
Exactly. I was delirious. Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian, though. That's very sweet. I appreciate that.
And I had a question. So when you did the eyes and it became her and
Mhm.
you had the demon voice, did you have to do a demon voice on the set?
I hope we didn't make you do that. No.
No,
we
I think
didn't.
that was added.
Yeah.
Little reverb added at the end.
Yeah, that was added. I don't think I did anything weird like that.
That would have been something.
They had more. They had money for posts, unlike other horror movies that I
little.
do, where I have
Kind
to
of.
do those weird, like ours, Brian.
That's right. So you guys worked together after Charmed.
Yeah, we did. In freezing, where were we in Michigan or something?
Niles,
Ohio,
Michigan.
or
Yeah.
Niles, Michigan. Yeah,
Freezing.
freezing.
Mm.
Almost died. I remember. Were you in the car with us when Lance had the PA get out of the car and Lance Henriksen drove the car for us to the hotel from the airport because the PA was all over the road. We thought we were going to die.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Blizzard, snowing, falling asleep, like a 20-year-old driving us. And Lance was like, pull over. I'm gonna drive. And he drove like 3 hours. So we didn't die on the way to the hotel.
Wow.
That's brilliant. You need a guy like that on every set.
I know. Love Lance Henriksen.
Now, you've been working since the 80s, which is incredible, amazing. Started as a child. And then you were on Guiding Light for a couple of years as a
One Life
child?
to Live. Close.
One Life to Live, excuse
One
me.
Life to Live, yep.
And then from there, you went to the big Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And you did two, I guess, a couple of years apart. When they brought you back, when Rob Zombie brought you back years and years later, you auditioned for it, you're playing a different character. How does that happen?
There are no rules.
It's true. I'm still trying to come back. I was at a convention and a fan came up to me and said, I heard that they're remaking the original Halloween and that Rob Zombie's doing it and that you're going to be Laurie. And I was like, that would be weird because essentially I played Laurie's daughter in the old ones, so I still managed to find a way to get in and audition and sort of fought for it because Rob didn't want anybody from any of the other Halloweens. I'm sure everybody was trying to get in some way and do something in it. And so I just auditioned like everybody else. Like, wow. It was so weird to go to the casting and like sign in and see people that were also auditioning for it because I had such a history with the franchise. And I went in and also, there was nudity in it. So it was like an opportunity for me to use sort of the same film that was keeping me as a child in everyone's head to finally see me as an adult. So it was sort of, it was interesting how that was sort of serendipitous, how that worked out.
That's a huge transition and it's not easy to make. And sometimes you just have to completely crush how people saw you before to take you seriously as a grown-up actor. Because we all have friends that didn't make that transition very well.
Yeah. Lots of friends. Yeah, for sure.
And you and Scout did just fine.
Yeah, thank God. We're still trucking along.
What are you working on right now?
What am I doing right now? I'm supposed to be doing a movie with Dee Snider, but it's like, it's one of those, like, is it going to happen? I don't believe it until I'm on an airplane kind of thing. And then I've got a bunch of movies I did during quarantine and last year that have just not found their way out yet. But I think the one I'm most excited about is a movie called Natty Knox. And it was Robert Englund and Bill Moseley and myself. And the writer and director directed Halloween 4. So it was a nice reunion. And his name's Dwight H. Little. And he also directed me in Marked for Death. And he did like Free Willy 2. And he's just did a bunch of stuff. And he's nice. It was cool to be back on set with him after so many years because I didn't remember, and I have kids in it, which is the first time that I've had, teenagers essentially on film, which was lovely to play my age for the first time. And he just kept giggling because he sees like little Jamie. Now he's like, you're Diane and you're a realtor and you're in your 40s. This is crazy. So it was really kind of cool, and then being able to see how he directs other kids, I was able to sort of go back and remember how he was with me as a child. And I hadn't seen that before. So I would ask him, like, how was I in this situation? Or was I easy to direct? Or, because I don't remember that relationship as much. And he said something really cool. Like, he's like, it was kind of like, because it was my first movie, right? So I was 10. So he said it was kind of like I would show you a bike for the first time and you'd never seen a bike, never been on a two-wheeler. And in the middle of me telling you what it was, you got on it and you just started riding it. He's like, I didn't really have to teach you or show you the way. You just sort of started to listen and then you're like, yeah, I got this. And then
that's pretty
kind
cool.
of did it. So that was really nice to to be able to sort of see that and to play a mom and have that relationship too, which I am a mom in, my life. So it was nice to be able to sort of bring that out on film for the first time.
And they let you be a grown up.
They let me be a grown up, and I got to wear a suit. And a suit. I mean, I wore a suit in our movie, Brian, but I felt so stupid. I don't know. I always feel dumb, because it's just not me. Like getting dressed up in a pantsuit is just so. I'm like a t-shirt, jeans, heels girl. So I always feel like, I don't know if you guys felt like this too when you're a kid actor making the transition to an adult, and especially being petite. I remember I would try to get the highest heels to go in and wear the longest pants that were sort of bell bottomy so they wouldn't know how tiny I was. And I would thank God if it was just on tape, because I didn't want them to see me in the room that I was so little. It's like you're 4'11" and I look 10 years younger, and I'm trying to play, the DA, and they're like, this looks so stupid.
True.
So you just feel dumb. I just always felt like I was playing dress up, even though I was the right age. And of the characters I was auditioning for, if not older than that, I always felt really dumb going into the room. I was like pretending to be a grown up when I already really was a grown up. So it was nice to finally have that and be able to feel like I owned it.
I can identify with that a lot. I wasn't able to shave or look older. I mean, I was always kind of baby faced in a way. And, they'd send me in for these cops and detectives and things. And I'm like, I know you're not going to hire me and I don't feel right. So I'd go pretend to be the cop.
Right.
And it was always that.
Was that your cop face?
That was one of them.
That was his,
okay.
That was his cop voice too. Yeah.
And the funny thing is that you could very well be a cop, with a baby face. But it's like what we see on TV is what we believe it should look like, even though they're just actors. So it gets very confusing trying to pretend, even though that's essentially what we do for a living.
Yeah, but wanting to feel comfortable and natural, and it is a fine line of being yourself. But I guess I was always afraid if I be myself, I'm going to be too much of a kid.
Right. And didn't they say, but they asked for you? They know who you are, Brian. They want to see you. The producers asked for you. That's why you have the audition. You're like, what? You guys know I'm not going to get it. I mean, that's how I always felt. Only once or twice there was this other actress named Danielle Harris that ended up marrying my friend Jensen Ackles, and twice I would get an audition in my career when she was acting a lot, and I would read it and go, "You guys, this is not for me. This can't be this can't be for me. I'm telling you right now, there's a mistake. I'm not going to go." And they're like, "No." Again, they called for you, and I went in. Last time I went in, and I walked in, and I just saw their face, and I straight up said, "You were not expecting me, were you?" And they were like, "We were looking for the other deal, but you're already here. So you're good. We love you. Go ahead and read." I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh, how terrible.
It was
terrible.
It'd been like Dark
Danielle
Angel or it was like something, she's just tall, and she's younger than me. She's tall brunette with
5'11", blonde,
sexy body, and boobies and all that stuff. So
all the things. My favorite is like when you're in you're in a room with producers and they start talking about if you are or are not right for the part. Like this would happen to me with cop shows a lot. And people would go like, "Well, I don't know. Do you think you could handcuff someone?" I was like right now? Like, you want me to demonstrate? And I was like, you know what? I happen to know some people who work on CSI. And the fact of the matter is not even a 6-foot man can handcuff someone by themselves. Watch Cops. It takes 2 or 3 of them to get somebody down and get their hands behind their backs. This is a technical fact. I was like, so don't worry about me.
I mean, I remember
that's how I responded.
I had a bunch of callbacks for a Dick Wolf series, and he was in there, and I kept going back, and I can just tell that he was just he liked me, but just wasn't sold and didn't know what to do. And I had to pitch myself. He's like, "Babe, I just don't know if I buy it." And I was like, how cool would it be if you stick me in a room doing an interrogation with a criminal? Because I can talk circles around them. Even though I'm tiny, doesn't mean that I can't win. You have to think of there are many, many, many other young, petite women in rooms doing this. Isn't that much cooler than what the audience is expecting to see?
You would think so, because it's different.
But do you find that's a television thing as opposed to a feature film thing? Where
No,
Oh.
it's the same. You are discriminized for your height. Well, you're not, but we are.
Yeah.
Brian, how
They just
tall are you?
don't. They don't see it. I'm 5 feet, 4'11".
No, but Brian, how tall are you?
Brian.
5, 10, 11 and a half.
In heels.
6
That's
feet,
code for
5'8". What do you
5'9".
need me to be?
Yeah. Whatever you need me to be. Exactly.
True story.
True story, for sure.
And there's such a thing as apple boxes. Like I'm
Yeah.
always on one anyway. So, and heels. I mean, my husband's 6'3". Like what different? I've always dated like tall guys. So
too.
I don't know. Tall guys like the little girls.
Yep. Well, it's evolution. They hope that, somewhere along the line we're going to even it out.
Yes.
Get
I
them
told my
taller.
husband that's why I married him. He was genetically selected, so I have a shot at having at least average sized children
There
between
you
the
go.
two of us.
Yep.
I hope.
Mm-hmm.
You have two
Exactly.
kids?
I do. I have 2 boys. Yep.
I'm sorry, I looked at 4 and 5. They're young.
3. Jagger, the baby, will be 4 in October. I can't even believe it. And Carter, my older one, will be 6 in January.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's why I
Great
got-
names.
Yeah, exactly. They're in
Holy cow.
kindergarten and preschool, and that's why I got out of LA, a few months ago and moved to Texas. So moved to Austin. So I've got
Good for you.
they've got their bikes and they're in the dirt. My kid's out there with his, the wheelbarrow and mulch and shovels, and we've got
That's
turkeys
great.
and deers and all kinds of boy
That's
stuff.
fantastic. See, because when we were kids, it was like you had to be in LA or New York, and we don't have to do that anymore. And
Yep.
this generation will have no idea, like the claustrophobia and the desperation of just having to be in town. And if you missed an appointment or missed an audition, the guilt.
Oh, I
The
never
what
went
if.
anywhere because every time I would book a vacation,
Yeah.
it's like the
Oh,
old
you get a
joke,
job
right?
immediately.
Of course, book a vacation,
Yeah.
you'll get a job.
Always.
Plan a trip, you'll get a job.
Always.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Oh, hold on. I'm on the Delta
Okay.
Airlines right now.
Let's go to Hawaii.
That's so funny.
When did
We
you
don't work
move
in
to LA?
I moved to LA when I was like every other. I was from New York, so every other kid came for pilot season and then just
Yeah.
Right.
never left. I was 13.
And is that when
much.
you did Roseanne?
I did. So I did. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Great
on,
movie.
Like the day I signed with Harry Gold, my agent at the time. I went that day to an audition because Jennifer Love Hewitt was cast, and so I'm so dating myself. She was cast, and they wouldn't let her out of her Kids Incorporated contract to do the
What?
movie.
Kids Incorporated.
So, yeah, I know, right? Remember that show? Mario playing the drums, Mario Lopez. So I went in and got the job, and I started like 3 days later. So I stayed, and then I did the Last Boy Scout like right after that, and then I just back on Movie of the Weeks were really popular. Started doing a bunch of Movie of the Weeks, and I just never went back to New York. I never went back after that initial come out for pilot season and sign with your agent. I never ever went back to the house that I had lived in. It's crazy.
Had there ever been a goal for you, like, oh, I want to do TV, I want to do movies? You had some great feature films that you're in that you just mentioned, and then some TV. Was there a direction you wanted to go, and it just, it is what it is? You audition for what you audition for, or how did that happen?
I think
for you?
whoever would hire me, it's the typical like child actor supporting the family, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like wherever the job comes, you've got to pay your rent and eat, so you'll just do it. And then it sort of found me, and then I had that difficult transition period where everybody was 85 pounds, and that
Right.
whole skinny girl thing, and CW and WB and all that, like all the hot girls, and it was very, there wasn't a place, I couldn't find a place for me in television. I was told I was not WB material, whatever that means.
I was too. Don't worry. I
same
was
thing.
too.
Wait, was that you were told that before you actually got Charmed?
I was told it the day I went to network for Charmed. They literally came out of their round table and was like, she just doesn't have the same star quality as Shannon does.
What the? What?
Yeah. And
Oh, that's nice.
the person who said it has since retracted
Oh,
her
sure.
statement, but still.
Are they still running the network?
No, a different one. A different one.
Wow.
But yeah. Brutal, just brutal.
I mean, I remember, I think back in the day, I wanted to be on a Fox show. Remember when Fox
Yeah.
was like so risky and
Yeah.
edgy?
You did it in Living Color.
That's when, no, like, because Fox started doing
did, yeah.
24. They
Yeah.
started doing 24, and it was such a different type of like TV making, you
And
know.
Married with Children, right? I mean, wasn't Married with
Mhm.
Children sort of
Oh,
their
yeah.
like that kind of
Yeah, that was
opened up
Fox.
that naughtiness. I know when I got a
Wasn't
Fox audition, I
Melrose
was like,
Place and 90210? Those were all Fox, correct?
yeah,
I believe so.
I think so.
Models Inc.
Models
I don't
Inc.
know about that.
I loved that show. Oh my God.
The Simpsons, right? Wasn't the Simpsons
NYPD
on
Simpsons
Fox?
was
Blue.
Fox.
Simpsons started Fox, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like that's kind of I think I just wanted to do edgier stuff.
Edgier fare.
And then and then just that weird period where of trying to become an adult, I think, and that mid-20s sort of thing, and not knowing, and then it was like, well, I wasn't really the pretty girl, but I wasn't like the character actor really per se. So I was sort of stuck in the middle of everything, and cut my hair, and probably I put on weight, and was like, well, I guess I would rather live the life of the character actor because they're more fun anyway, and then be the lead a storyline that is usually kind of boring. So so played a lot of like goth girls and fun edgy characters, and then and then I didn't know if I wanted to stay in it or not. I was still debating if I wanted to kind of be in the business, and had that few years of you need to lose weight if you want to keep working. And it's like, I think maybe I was like 115 pounds. I mean, maybe I was like a size 6 instead of a size 0. So so I basically was like, F you, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And if you don't want to cast me, oh well. And was like working at a beauty supply company, and like doing conventions, which was still like my bread and butter. Thank God for fans like supporting me through that time to be able to survive as an actor. And then Rob Zombie's Halloween came up, and it sort of it just brought back, because I hadn't done horror movies in 20 years.
Wow.
So even though I was always sort of known as that kid, so it sort of brought back this new life. And then now I've embraced it with open arms, because I don't want to audition for TV anymore. I don't want to self-tape. I don't want to.
I don't either. Isn't that weird? I can't do the self-tape. I don't want to.
It's hard.
I'd rather get offers and do horror movies all day long and be considered like a movie star in their world, and have this like cool community that I can live in forever and make more money doing that than anything I would ever do. I don't want to be a TV star on some series anymore. It's like that ship has sailed, and I've found the brand, if you want to call it that. And
you definitely have it, and your brand is fantastic. And
thanks.
You've become the horror gal, which is
it's
awesome.
so crazy, and it's only really been the last. I don't know. I fought it for a while, and with social media, I was like, I'm not. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to show myself to everybody. And then I just sort of embraced it, and it opened up a whole world of stability in my life, that I could now live my life here in my beautiful home with my kids, and be normal, and just go to work, 3 or 4 days on a movie, and be okay to not have to work again for 6 months. And I still have my health insurance, and all those things that you really appreciate when you're in your 40s.
Right.
That I didn't appreciate when I was younger and wanting to be a movie star, or I never wanted to be a star. I just wanted stability financially. When you go test for a show, you're like, okay, how many episodes? 20 episodes, 1 season, whatever, 25 grand a week. Okay. So if I get it, I'm going to be okay until this year, this year, how much are my bills? You do the math, and then you have 3 minutes in a room to figure out the rest of your life, your financial stability, which means your emotional stability and your family stability. And it's a lot of pressure when you're, 14 essentially, or 16, or really at any age.
And you have, 3 to 5 minutes to make or break the rest of
that's it.
The rest of the year, or the rest of your life. And people don't know that like suddenly you can be like living in New York, and then you have to go and move your entire life to LA and do a show.
Yeah.
Like everything picks up and just goes wherever they tell you to.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, but it's funny how, all this instability in the world kind of brought us more stability, where we can Brian loves to give out his address all the time, but Brian moved to Georgia, you know?
That was that we were going to look there next. We were going to look in
Yeah.
Peachtree, but I
That's
came to
where I
Austin
moved to.
first. See,
Stop
that was my
telling
second
people,
choice.
Brian.
Wow.
Well, there's
Because I knew a lot
only
of people
20
there.
peach trees in Georgia.
Okay, fair.
Because a lot of my friends from LA were, like Zach lives there, Tyler Main lives there, like, Greg Nicotero. Like there was a lot of people that were like, but it felt I didn't go there. Well, first of all, I hate that damn airport, and I hate Atlanta airport. So I was like,
just
how am I
there
going to
today.
travel this
Awful.
freaking airport? It's the worst. Where my Austin airport's like fabulous. It's like better than Burbank. It's amazing.
It is.
Oh,
And it
it's
used to
so
be
nice.
smaller, and that's like the giant version of it, and it's still great.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm like in the middle of nowhere. So, but Peachtree was my, because I knew people there. So that was my second choice. I just fell in love with this area I live in, and we just bought the house immediately. And then because things were going so fast, and then we sold our house after the fact. Thank God it sold, and we got out when we did.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, nice.
How do you like
You
Georgia?
don't have the humidity as much there as you do here.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty nasty here.
Is
yeah,
it?
it's still pretty bad, BK. It is.
Oh,
It's gross. But I'm like, who cares? You just don't go outside. Just go in the pool, go in the lake, or stay in your air conditioning. You're not like, it's not like I'm outside hiking.
that's right. I'm an indoor kid now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm inside anyway. Who cares? I'll go to the movies.
So you say you have embraced the horror gal. You are, and I know, anytime, and I've talked to other people trying to get horror movies made. They're like, well, can you get Danielle? And it's like, oh, it's almost a guarantee to get your movie funded.
Yeah, right. I
go.
can get my own movies funded.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it quite a few times. Is there a character that you like playing in this genre? What is it about the genre that you are drawn to?
I mean, I get to be the star. Really, like I get the meaty roles, and this, the final girls, and I get I get to carry the movie. Where if I was in an action movie or in another movie, unless I was, famous, you don't really get that opportunity to carry a film like that. And it's, it's fast and furious, and it's made with love. I mean, there's positive and negatives. Like, the negatives are they're low budget. Nobody wants to give any money. They're shot in like 10 days now and working these crazy hours, and you're fucking freezing somewhere. Like we were half dressed and, whatever. You don't even know where you're going. You like meet the producers and your director. I always think about like I'm getting in a car without knowing who I'm going to see, where I'm going. I'm just getting on a plane blindly. And I'm like, I could be going to like a serial killer's house. Like I have no idea where I'm going.
Truly.
It's like,
Isn't that funny? Like when you get picked up at the airport and there's just a person with your name, you're like, okay, I'll go with you.
Go with you. And you get in the car. I mean, it could literally be a crazy person. I mean, Donna, hopefully, everyone I'm sure is going to hear this podcast because it's big charmed is. So don't get any ideas because I will shoot you. But
we have skills.
I will kill you. But I like the sort of being accessible and relatable, and being able to just be normal, being the lead in a movie. Like I don't have to be, I can just be me, and it's enough. And the amount of respect too, because a lot of the producers and directors are not 10 times out of 10 were fanboys growing up watching me in these movies. So there's a cool sort of respect, and I also feel like I have a voice where when I'm a guest star on a show or I'm on a big movie, like I did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was on for a couple of weeks, and I was like, I was just like hiding in my trailer because you just are scared, even though I quit a friend of mine, and it's just like, holy shit, I'm in this big movie. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to fuck it up. I don't want to get fired. You just want to be like, you're on your best behavior and be your best self. But so there's just something nice about the confidence, I think, that that I have when I walk onto a set of a horror movie in that world. I can own it where I'm not as confident in other areas. So that's why I've embraced it.
You have experience. It's your niche. It's your thing.
It's crazy. I talk about that with Scout all the time. Like it's easy. It's weird. And am I fucked up because it's so easy? Like it's so easy for me to be crazy.
But I'll tell you, I'll tell you, I did one. Speaking of auditions where like you don't care about getting the part and then you get it. This director actually hired me for the one horror movie that I did, because I always said you have to do one horror movie in your career for it to be a real career. He literally hired me because he was like, "Well, it seemed like you didn't care about my movie," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I had to go pick my stepfather up at the airport. That's all I said." Like I couldn't stay to like meet with him again. I couldn't stay to meet with another producer that day. I was like, no, I'm already on tape. I've already met you. I gotta go. And he was like, but
it's like dating.
yes. And I was
Right?
like, no.
The guy's like, I want her because she's unattainable. She
Right.
doesn't care. She's not returning my calls. I have to have her. And then the girl
Exactly.
that's like, I'm here. I'm available. I'm showing up for you. They're like, who? I'm not. I'm not interested.
We were talking about this at the beginning of the pod.
It's human nature.
With auditioning as well. The ones that you kind of don't really care about or you don't have enough time to prepare for are usually the ones you absolutely kill versus the ones that you're really excited and overly aggressive about, like learning your lines and studying and knowing it.
Overly enthusiastic.
Yeah, way too enthusiastic.
Nobody wants
They
that.
smell it a mile away and like, they're not right for it.
No,
Dude, I would
it's
always
true.
learn my line, like go over my. I would get to the audition 30 minutes before my appointment time and just finally open it up and start highlighting it in the car.
Whoa.
Because unless I looked at, I always look at it the night before.
Sure.
Print it out. You look at it and you're like, okay, it's not that much. Okay, if it's meaty, I need to kind of break it down a little bit just to get it in my head before I go to sleep. But I never spent like tons of time, because you're right. When I would go to get coached or have some like, which is why Meisner worked for me when I was studying acting, because it was just, in the moment. There was if I came into the room with a preconceived notion of what I wanted to do, it never worked out. It's like if you come in with an idea, it never works out the way you want it to. But if you just let it roll and let it happen, then it just feels so much better. But I think
exactly, and you respond authentically, truthfully in the moment.
100%. But you've got to really trust yourself. And usually when you have those big roles, you're scared and you don't trust that you're gonna just like, you don't want to risk just like rolling with it when you walk in there. You know, so it's a tricky little thing.
That's what makes it tough on the self-tape. It's you've set it up, now you get your person off camera. It feels, the energy to me is lost. Walking into a room and winning a room.
I actually really like the self-tape because, as we all know, actors have less than 0% of control or say. And so for the first time, for a self-tape, I treat it like it's a job
like
on the day.
The control aspect.
Well, I like the control aspect, but you're in charge of what you get to send. And if I don't treat it now as an audition. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I get to go work today, right? So
I can't even watch it. I actually go to a self-tape place because I want to come in. I book the 10-minute session. I just read it once with them and then I just do it. And then they're like, do you want to watch? Do you want to pick? I was like, just send it. Because if I watch it, I'm never going to send it. I'm going to think about it. I don't care. I mean, but also my husband's not an actor. So to do it at home is like a nightmare. Because I spend more time telling him like, it's comedy. I need you to talk faster. Like I don't understand. And then everyone's like, well, get your friend on Zoom. I'm like, I just don't want to bother anybody to do that. But I'm never going to get a job. And then I started getting creative with the self-tapes of like, oh, I'm just going to act the scene out. I remember I was in Hawaii with my husband and we were on vacation. I got this really important audition and I was like, how do I get this to be cool and different? I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually film the scene and I'm going to do it. I was playing crazy person, but I tie my husband up and, and then I was supposed to stab him. So I got him in his underwear in bed and I set up the tripod and I did the whole scene. And then I was had to stab him. And I was doing it, and he was like, oh, it's like, okay, imagine I'm really stabbing you. What would that sound like if I was actually stabbing you in your stomach with a knife? You've got to give me something to work off
I've
of.
done.
Jesus
Did you get the job?
No, I didn't get the job. Oh, it was from Dusk Till Dawn. I think it was the TV series. No, I didn't get the job. But I was like, they'll remember me. I'm in my bra tying up my husband in bed filming it. They're going to at least, give me
that's fucking awesome. That's rad. I like taking chances like that. For
And
sure.
that tape lives
Nothing
somewhere.
to lose, right?
That
Yeah,
tape
but
lives somewhere.
Nothing to lose.
But I haven't gotten any of those jobs where I've fully committed like that. It's really annoying.
Now you know.
What,
Edit it, put some
being
score to
editing,
it.
being creative.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things. Let's not reward that. Let's go with the other person.
But I can
Always.
say that
Always.
from doing the one horror movie I did, I know what's appealing about it is, for me, is you get to play all the emotional stuff, which we were good at as kid actors, and you get to play all this action stuff, and you can be a superhero, by the way, even if you're 5 foot
Mhm.
nothing, and literally and you can kill the bad guy,
Yeah.
which you
That
can't.
doesn't happen in anything
No.
else.
We couldn't really couldn't do that. I mean, we could do it in an alien movie. They just wouldn't let us.
Right.
Is the thing.
Exactly. So it's I mean, I'm like, why would I bother having to have any other career when I can just do this and be super happy?
Mm-hmm.
Works for me.
Right.
So have you thought about getting on the other side, writing, producing, directing? Have you jumped into that foray?
I did. I've directed some shorts. I directed a feature that Lionsgate picked up about a decade ago. We had like no money and did it in 10 days. And I just put my actors through
You were
everything
the
I
one
said.
that started the 10-day schedule.
Yeah, I know. But I wasn't
Wow.
producing.
Okay.
So
Brutal.
I learned never to do that again. And I also shot in order because we had like no changes of clothes and everybody was
Right.
tied to a table. So it was like,
That's amazing, though. That if
Ugh.
you ever get a chance to shoot in sequential order, it's such an interesting, different experience.
I'd never had it happen. I'd never been on a
No.
set where I've been able to do
jobs
it.
like is 1%. 1% you get to do it in order.
It was interesting to do it like that. But it's just a lot of dialogue. Everyone's just sitting around, so it's just so much and no rehearsal time. And it was not a super fun experience. But the movie was fine. Nothing great. But there's a movie that we've Joe Dante, who Joe Dante directed Gremlins and Piranha and The Burbs and a bunch of stuff. And I did a movie with him. I did an episode of the show called Erie, Indiana, that was actually not it was around a little bit before your show, kind of a similar quirky,
Yeah, it was a good show. I remember it.
It was good. I think it was a little before its time.
It was. Yeah. Justin Shankarov was on it, who played my little brother on Picket Fences.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They were both kind of similar.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and Amaury Katz was the lead, and he was actually my first boyfriend in real life. Amaury.
Wait, the dude from Hocus Pocus?
Yeah. Yes. We lost our virginity to each other. Anyway, so and then I was on the show.
Great movie.
It's so good, right? I was just in Salem last weekend. I love it.
I love that movie so much.
I got him into the convention circuit. I'm like, you're so dumb,
good.
dude. Why don't you do like people love that movie? They love you. You're
Obsessed.
like,
Yeah.
So he's now immersed and loving every minute of it. So I'm happy. So I did the movie. I did a movie with Joe that he produced a couple of years ago, and he, I'm all about being behind the camera and asking a million questions, and I much prefer to be behind the camera than in front of it. And anyway, so we decided we're going to do something together, and we kept having meetings. And I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a female, based final girl, sort of dark comedy horror. And he optioned a script for me called Sequel, and we were just trying to get it made. Trying to find money for the last 2 years. So he just renewed the option, and hopefully I'll be able to attach as direct. Hopefully I'll be able to get it made. But I'm attached as director and producer.
Oh, fantastic.
And then now it's just sort of picking my girlfriends that are all final girls, essentially, are all horror actresses, and like who do I cast?
Can I nominate Brian as one of your final girls?
Yes, of course.
definitely-
I'm just
gotta be
nominating and putting it
another.
out there because he wouldn't do it, but later he'd go, man, I should have.
I
asked
like
her if I could
amazing.
do
Oh,
it."
you know what? He
Dude,
needs-
buddy,
he
I
needs to
feel
be a
you as a
cop.
final girl for
I
sure.
will
Just
cast
make him
you
a
as
cop.
a sheriff. You will play a
Thank
cop.
you.
in it.
Yes,
Thank
a
you.
cop.
Give him
Full
a badge.
circle.
Just with
He
this
just
look-
made his.
yeah.
Hey, you made his month.
Give him a badge.
Look at him. Look how happy he is
I'm
right
gonna
now.
make it happen. Yes,
you
they
have
wanna-
a website, you have a podcast. You're kind of a
I
branding
do.
machine in a way. I've seen you in a few shows. Tell us about the website, the podcast.
Yes. So DanielleHarris.com is the website. It's mostly just merch and like fun things. I always like trying to bring new things, create new things and photos and whatever.
Sorry to cut you off in your run, but what have you found merch wise that people have really responded to?
I actually do these calendars at the end of the year that are kind of fun. Like I make like last year I did one that was like a play on different horror movies. So I did like The Shining and Texas Chainsaw, and like I just put myself in just like
Wait,
fun,
like kind of like doing
stuff.
a Cindy Sherman thing where you're in each one?
Yes.
Ah.
I mean, it's just silly. I mean, honestly, Patreon's been really cool for me. I started Patreon about a year ago, and I've got like my top tier, and we do, it's sort of like what you guys do. We do like watch-alongs where I'll watch movies that I've been in and sort of talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff. And oh God, look, there's my mic pack, or like oh God, that blood's so brown. It's been on there since 5 a.m. Like that kind of fun stuff, which they really like, and have created an awesome little community. And now they're all friends. Obviously our podcast has been so fun, and I grew up with Love Lines, and I sort of wanted something like that, and I didn't want it to be just about horror movies because I don't watch enough of them to be able to talk about them, other than the ones that I'm in essentially and the ones that my friends are in. So I started doing that, and that's Talk Scary to Me, and that is on where podcasts can be found, Apple and Spotify. We are at episode 46, I think, something like that, and we're bringing on guests and finding about all their stuff. And we're doing lives now at conventions here and there, where people can bring you guys on stage and get to talk about fun stuff and, giveaways and, all that fun stuff. And so I'm Horror Gal on Instagram and Halloween Gal on Twitter. And then I've got Facebook and all that stuff. But Instagram is kind of my most active, or Patreon. And then Patreon, we have a Patreon for podcasts where they watch the video. That's always fun to see Scout and I being stupid together.
And do you have a schedule up for fans that want to meet you at conventions? What do you have coming forward?
That's a good question. Let me get my phone and I will tell you. I'm appearing in Alabama at have you ever done Atrox? Atrox is like a haunted house.
No.
Super fun. I'll be there the first weekend of October. San Antonio, the 14th and 15th of October, For the Love of Horror in the UK, October 22nd and 23rd, Niagara Falls, Halloween weekend. Going to take some people on a tour in Louisville at Waverly the beginning of November. Monster Mania is obviously one of my faves. I think I've been to about 40 or 46 of them, and I've seen you guys at a bunch of those. That's November 11th through 13th, and then Days of the Dead, Chicago, November 18th through the 20th. And then I'm going to go on vacation, hopefully.
Yeah. It sounds like you're going to need one. That's a lot.
I think
no kidding.
Danielle, thank you so much for rolling by and talking with us today. It's been such a pleasure, and you killed it as Aviva. Really enjoyed you in the episode. Much. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Aviva.
She was sleepwalking.
Even though I sleepwalked through it. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
thanks, guys. Congrats on your podcast. I will tell everybody. And
thank you so much.
You guys be a guest on our show one day.
Oh, yeah. They're coming.
They're coming. I'm coming for you, boys.
Get your question ready.
Whatever you want. I will answer anything.
Open book.
Yeah, maybe listen to our podcast before you say that.
Yeah,
I know. That's
yeah.
Oh, do you
I just won't tell my parents. But everything else is
no, don't. My mom listens. I'm mortified.
Yeah. Oh my God.
She says she turns it off before I start talking about anal, but anyway.
That's amazing.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye,
Danielle.
everybody.
Thank you, Danielle.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Danielle Harris.
Fantastic. Wow. So much energy.
So much energy. So much. I'm going to unpack that for days. HMC BK. I need final verdict on the app. Where are we at with it? Out of 10.
Well, I want to start by saying Danielle is lovely, and she was an asset in this episode for sure, especially knowing that she was sleepless. Now, she did a fantastic job, but I still feel like it's like one of the fledgling Charmed Ugly Duckling episodes where we just didn't know what we were doing quite yet 100%. So I feel the internal struggle, but it is better. So I'm saying 6.57.
6.57. Okay.
Wow.
Was that on the high end?
No.
What do you mean?
The problem is anyone looks at on a scale of 1 to 10 though, if you do 5 and below, everyone just kind of groups 5 to 1 as the same thing.
Wait, but I forgot it's basically like Brian's first full episode, so then I have to like bump it up to an 8.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Like I said before, I don't know why they brought me back. But I thought the episode was definitely 7.5, 8 as far as entertainment value, storyline. I understand I wasn't a regular show. I didn't have as much invested of finding yourself. But for me as an audience member, it would have brought me back the next week. And I just found enough in there that it's like, okay, entertainment value. I'm almost at an 8.
Maybe your glutes brought some people back. So I'll give you a 9.
Finest glutes in all the land, baby.
I'll give you a 9 on the...
All the land.
All the land.
Yeah, all the land. I'll give you a 9 on all the land.
Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Dead Man Dating still hanging tough at the top.
Yeah, no, if we're doing a season 1 ranking, power rankings, Dead Man Dating is like
taking the prize.
So far in the
runaway winner. That in episode 1 so far.
All right.
Well, I thought Danielle was awesome.
Yeah, she was really great, really insightful, so cool, so confident, and like I love that she has taken ownership of who she is, what she likes and what she loves and what she's really good at, and is unapologetic about it at all, which is amazing. I like that self-assuredness.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And that's where I thought she was kind of one of the fourth sisters.
And she played that. Her personality now, definitely you can see that in Aviva 100%.
Right.
100%.
She's a little badass.
By the way, not that you guys asked me, but I like the episode. Thank you. But I give it like
I was trying to. You just kept talking.
Oh, please.
Drew.
Did I?
Give me your rating.
No, you don't care about my rating.
1 to 10. I do. Because you're the fresh eyes. You're the newbie. This is all new to you. So, oh no. So you're thinking way too long now.
I give it a 7.
See?
So I actually split you and Brian. I think it had more potential. I liked her a lot. I totally bought everything. I totally bought everything that was happening in the episode. I still think it could have been,
So
it could have been better, just a little bit. But I enjoyed it, and like Brian, I think 100% seeing that episode, I would definitely tune in next week.
For Dale.
For Dale. Well, just like the girl. I kind of like the cattiness between you and Phoebe.
You want to see who wins Dale's glutes.
Yeah, well, I just want to know how it gets resolved, how you ultimately choose Piper over Phoebe.
Ultimately.
Well, you'll have to stay tuned.
I'm going to stay tuned.
It's a complicated story.
Yeah. Check out.
So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening and checking out our podcast. You can download it and wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, iHeart, all the places, all the things. And if you want to watch us, go ahead and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/The House of Hallowell. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
See you later. See you next week.
Do it next week. Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Be good, kids.
More glutes.
Yeah.
Don't light any black candles.
If you want to tune in for more frosted tips, tune in
next week as Leo's glutes and tips are
on full display.
On full display, touching your screen.